Shankara Parvati Pati Mahadev Sri Shankara.
Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest evolvement. My favorite way of reading books is actually listening to them. Yes, I'm a self-proclaimed Audible junkie. Why? Because I'm able to walk, spend time in nature, clean my house, do all the things I need to do while still getting really high vibe content coming straight into my ears. If you love podcasts, then you are the perfect person to begin listening to audiobooks. If you would like to get started with a free audiobook of your choice, head over to audibletrial.com/highest self podcast. Again, Audible, AUDIBLE.com/highest self podcast, and you'll receive any audiobook of your choice absolutely free. Want more video content from me? Well, head over to my YouTube channel to check out my new show, Ask Sahara, where I will be answering your questions each week related to all things spirituality, entrepreneurship, Ayurveda, wellness, self-care, relationships, and everything in between. Head over to youtube.com/Sahara Rose. And if you have any questions that you would like me to answer on Ask Sahara, simply send me an email over at questions@eatfeelfresh.com. We already have a bunch of episodes live talking about all things from how to know if you're a cross between two doshas and what should you eat, how to become more confident, how do you find the one, how to shift into abundance mindset, and so much more. So head over to youtube.com/Sahara Rose to dive in. If you haven't noticed, we are going through a massive shift. Things are happening faster than ever before. Lessons are being learned almost instantaneously. All disillusions are being shattered. The truth is louder than ever before. You may have noticed that conversations are shifting. Ordinary citizens are talking about energy, holistic healing, the mind-body connection, consciousness, yoga, karma, dharma, meditation, astrology, crystals, spirit guides, past lives, the awakening. And this is not a trend. This is the way forward. So right now we are going through a shift from three-dimensional to multi-dimensional beings. And this is the shift that Deepak Chopra, Gary Zukov, and many others have been talking about. And what this means is that we as a species are now utilizing our intuition as one of our main senses. We are moving out of survival mode and moving more into creation mode. Our vibration is increasing, and all that is no longer in alignment is falling to shambles, hence our political system. We are awakening to the new reality that we are consciousness having a human experience. So this shift is best described in this book called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov. I highly recommend that for everyone on a spiritual journey. It is the book that helped shift Oprah on her spiritual journey. And what Gary talks about is that us as third dimensional beings had to have physical proof for everything. It was the proof is in the pudding. You have to see it to believe it. And it's the way that most of our parents are. You know, especially in the baby boomer generation, it was all about survival. It was all about what's going to make me money, what makes sense, what do people around me think, what have I been taught, and how can I follow the path that has been paved to me towards success. There were definitely artists and creatives and conscious people, meditators that existed, but that was people on the outskirts. You know, it wasn't a mainstream thing that people were speaking about. However, now this has shifted. Now, any city you go to, you will find a yoga studio. You'll find a new age store with crystals and incense and all of that stuff. You will find a vegan restaurant. You will find meetups about meditation, shamanism, consciousness, everything. It has become the norm. I mean, Forever 21 is selling crystals, guys. They're fake, but for real, like that's how big of a trend it is. They're making fake crystals. So this means that us as a society, we've awakened to the fact that, these crystals have energy to them, that our mind is connected to our bodies, that our food is connected to the way that we feel, that productivity is not the measure of our success, that the time we were born impacts our very baseline personality, that maybe it's not just this one lifetime, but there's other lifetimes interconnected, that vibes are very real and you can pick up on information from someone without even speaking to them. So these are things that we intuitively have known we were born with. They're encoded in our DNA. But only now, finally, are we becoming accepting to it as a society. And this is not a coincidence. This has to do with the shift of the paradigm. So I've done podcast episodes about this, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But what the general consensus is, what has been predicted in the Vedas and the Mayan calendar and many other ancient systems, is that around year 2012 is when we made this shift. This shift brought us from the patriarchal era into the divine feminine era. The divine feminine era is based off of feeling. That's what the feminine is. That's what yin energy, Shakti energy is. It's all about moving into the body, moving into the soma, moving into the breath, moving into what do you feel? What do you know without having to prove? So energetically, we as a planet have shifted into this feminine. But it doesn't mean that we are now only going to be led by females and females are taking over. It actually means that we are now accepting the feminine within, both men and both women. It is becoming normal to use your intuition, to go by the vibes, to feel the energy. That is no longer something that is fringe. So as multidimensional beings, we are accepting of all of the sources of information that we are receptive to. We are no longer saying, oh, I need to go by what's on this piece of paper. We're saying, yeah, I had a weird feeling about this person, even though everything was perfect on paper. And that is okay. So how do we prepare for being multidimensional beings? Well, this isn't like the apocalypse that you have to go buy some batteries and flashlights for. Rather, all it means is listening to your own intuition. Most of us have kicked our intuitions to the side. We were taught as children that being intuitive is not tangible. I remember as a kid, my dad mantra always to me, be rational, not emotional. Always. And what was that showing me? Don't use your emotions. My emotions were connected to my intuition, but go by what can be proved by paper. And most of us, whether that was your parents' mantra or not, we're brought up with this system. So now we are unlearning. Rather than learning, we are unlearning. We are taking off the cloaks of who we are not. So we are left with only who we are. And this is essential, this unlearning, unraveling process. Because most of us in the 3D were taught that you must learn more, you must acquire more, you must get more knowledge from somewhere else, read more books, listen to more audiobooks, taken. But actually, the way of learning in the new paradigm is to take space, to move into stillness, to actually stop taking in information, and to listen to the information encoded in your DNA. I speak a lot on this podcast about taking an advice detox, and that essentially means to stop asking people for advice on your life. And this is essential for moving into the new paradigm. Because the old paradigm said that you have no idea what you really want and you have to consult with 12 other people to figure yourself out because you're just a total mess. The new paradigm says you have a lot of interests and there are a lot of paths available for you. So you need to tune into your heart to decipher which is the best one to take at this moment. And don't worry, because at any time you can change. And that's the voice we need to be listening to. You don't need to know everything. Some people get so heady about spirituality. I used to be like that too. I used to want to know, oh, what happens in the past life? And then what are the soul ages and da-da-da. And like, sometimes I do like to still geek out on that stuff, but it actually doesn't really matter. What matters is how you feel, how you're operating, what's actually going on with you in the present. We don't need more information. We need more alignment. You know, I used to listen to a lot of podcasts and I stopped. I actually really don't listen to any podcasts. Ironic because I make them. But I realized that in me just listening to podcast after podcast after podcast, I wasn't giving myself the space to think my own thoughts. I was realizing suddenly I'm thinking someone else's thoughts. Like my thoughts were becoming Gary Vee because I'm putting someone else's voice constantly in my head. And maybe that voice you're putting into your head is my voice. So I'm telling you to not listen to my voice on repeat. Because what I rather have for you than podcast downloads is for you to operate as a multidimensional being. Like that is actually what's going to take us way further as a society than individualistic followings. Like that actually doesn't matter. This message has nothing to do with me. It's just a message coming through me. And this truth that we are experiencing, it's going to be coming through many, many different vessels, but it's all the same truth. So that's why some people, again, they get very heady. Well, Buddhism says this and Hinduism says that and Zoroastrianism says this and the Kabbalah says that. So I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is what is ringing true in your body. Connect to your body's wisdom. When you hear truth, you will feel truth. So practice. What does that feel like in your body? Do you feel something in your heart? Do you feel a grounding experience? Do you feel rested? Do you feel excited? Do you feel tingling in your third eye? It's going to be different for each of us. It's going to be different at different times. But the multi-dimensional shift is all about using your body as a compass. There's no longer this separation between the mind and the body, this idea that this body is this freaking thing that just wants to eat and get fat and we need to like cut ourselves off from it. And there is another movement that is very much disconnection from the body. I mean, there's this total movement that maybe we're going to stop even like operating as human beings and we're just going to be like lying down in cubicles thinking thoughts and it's going to emerge in front of us. But then there's the polar opposite, which are the people like us who want to connect back to the earth, who want to connect back to the ancient ways, who know that the wisdom that the Mayans had, the wisdom that the Aztecs had, this is more than any technology. The fact that they were able to cut blades of stone into perfect symmetrical straight lines that even with our technology today, we still have no idea how they did it. We still have no idea how the pyramids of Giza were built and why they're in these perfect points that are related to the astrological signs. We still don't know these things because they had access to a level of consciousness that most of us are afraid of diving into. But we're moving into it again. And it's not everyone, but it's some of us. And we're moving into feeling-based, intuitive-based, letting go of the need to prove yourself to anyone and moving into this higher state of evolvement where your vibration is literally increasing, that everything that is not in alignment with your vibration shatters. You will see in this shift, friendships will shatter, relationships will shatter, careers will shatter. And it may feel like a catastrophe for you. You may feel like right now, especially the past month of December 2018, has been the hardest month of your life. And the reason is because things are shifting. They're spiraling so fast that we're almost instantaneously able to decipher the lesson as we're going through the obstacle. Things are manifesting so quickly that thoughts are just turning into things. It's instantaneous. But at the same time, you may be experiencing hardships that you may have never thought that you'd ever have to go through. And that was exactly the karmic lesson that your soul needed to get to its next point of evolvement. And the sooner you are able to find that red thread, that sacred medicine that lives inside the poison, it is only then that you will be able to move through that obstacle with ease and grace and move into fluidity, kriya, flow, the boundless energy, the feeling of alignment, the feeling of meeting the right people at the right time, showing up at the right places, like the universe is propelling you in the direction of your dharma. And all you have to do is take your hands off the wheel and sit back and enjoy the ride, because that is how life is meant to be lived. But most of us are living in these karmic contracts. We're living in the results of actions that we have taken that are not in alignment with our dharma. And that's going to happen. No one's going to live in full kriya in this lifetime. If you did, you wouldn't be here. You would be enlightened and you wouldn't have to reincarnate anymore. So we're all here on this planet because we still have lessons to learn. If you have no more lessons to learn, you're just going to be a spirit guide. So if we're here on this planet, we have lessons to learn. We have things that we still need to do. So what this human experience is about is, how can I take those lessons and shift from them? How fast can I learn from these lessons? How fast can I embody the lessons, not just learn from them? And say, yep, I needed to learn self-worth from that. Yep, I needed to learn independence from this one. Oh yes, that one definitely taught me boundaries. And it's a practice. It's not just a one-time thing. It's a practice. It's a practice. But moving out of victimhood is essential for this shift, because life is not happening to you. It is happening for you. So when you can move out of, oh, why me? Why am I sick? Why did I get fired? Why did he cheat on me? And instead you can say, thank God for this illness because I wasn't taking care of myself. Thank God I got fired because that career was not in alignment with my truth. Thank God I got cheated on because that relationship was in no way serving me. It is only then that you move right back on that track of alignment and move into the flow of kriya. So I'm really excited for this shift, guys. It's already happening. We're feeling it. People are talking about it. It's really exciting time to be alive. So please focus on being in alignment. This is what the law of attraction is all about, what Abraham Hicks is all about. The more in alignment you are, the more easily you are going to be able to manifest things. So instead of, again, trying to do, this shift is about less doing, actually. Like 2019 for me is feeling like focusing on fun. And I'm going to do another episode on like really my 2019 intentions. But for me, I'm really noticing that the path of doing is no longer the path of the new paradigm, and that we're just going to exhaust ourselves, burn out our adrenals, which most of us have, and run an overdrive and remain on this rat race if we just stay in this cycle of achieving, and moving away from the santosha, the contentment. We need more contentment with where we are. We need more enjoyment. We need more self-inquiry. And that requires the sacred pause. So 2019, it's going to be a lot more being, a lot more embodying, a lot more practicing things that bring you into alignment, whether that is sound bowls and sound baths. I really believe that sound medicine is going to have a massive uprise in 2019. I mean, it already has in major cities, but I do believe that now in most cities, there's going to be sound bowls, sound baths, sound experiences. I believe that we are going to move into talking about energy in colleges, universities, corporations, that's no longer going to be a weird thing anymore, that energy is just going to be, very much a part of our society. I believe that holistic health and holistic medicine is soon going to be totally covered by insurance. We're already seeing acupuncture, as I believe next Ayurveda will be, and soon energy work, Reiki practitioners, these will all be covered by insurance. We're already seeing yoga, but moving past the asana and moving into the yamas, the niyamas, the actual ethos of what yoga is about. We're going to have yoga studios be teaching ahimsa, all of these practices that are essential for living that yogic life. We're going to be teaching kids about dharma, about purpose. We're going to be teaching kids about their human design from the time they're born. We're going to be moving into many different types of meditation experiences, not just seated, Shiva cultivating stillness meditation experiences, but dance meditations, walking meditations, waterfall meditations, earth planting meditations, all sorts of things. We're going to move back into looking at our political system from the form of astrology, just like we have done for thousands of years. That was never a separate thing, but we're going to look at what's going on in the skies, and we're going to be noticing the similarities between political upheavals, revolutions, as well as earth crises, and see how they're related to what's going on astrologically. Crystals, I mean, the computer was a really big comeback for the crystal, considering computers are made out of crystals, but crystals already are a huge part of our society, but that's only going to continue to grow. It's going to be in schools, corporations, everywhere we go. And after this phase of 2019, I don't think that 2019 is going to bring this stuff to the front stage, but coming up next, maybe in 2020, 2021, talking more about what exists outside of this life. So I believe we're going to talk more about spirit guides, which I recorded a podcast episode totally about. So please tune into that one coming out end of January. We're going to be exploring past lives. We're going to be, which this is something the Celestine prophecy spoke about in the 60s, that we're moving away from religion and into spirituality. So before it was either like you were religious or you were atheist. And now we're moving into all of us being spiritual beings. So not following any organized religion, but just experiencing spirit as consciousness and seeing the earth as alive, the plants as alive, and all of us as God consciousness. And the awakening. This conversation is going to become mainstream. This is no longer going to be a weird thing for just like yogis and meditators. This is going to be a talked about thing because it's something that we're all feeling, but most people are not trusting themselves to talk about it because they're afraid of being labeled as woo-woo or cuckoo or whatever it is, which are terms that essentially the powers have used to keep us down. And I had an amazing conversation with Natalie Miles about where does the term woo-woo come from, but essentially it came from people who were afraid of people talking about spirit. So they used to call them woo-woo, meaning ghosts, that they could see ghosts moving around. So it was this like name that they put on people because they didn't understand what they were saying. So right now you may be that person. I know I'm that person. And that just means that you're ahead of the shift, that you are what some people call an indigo child, crystalline child, whatever the word is that you want to call it, that you are just one of the first to become aware of this evolution. However, we are all part of this evolution. That does not make you better than anyone else. We are all on this evolution, all meant to awaken at our own time. So please don't try to force anyone into awakening because it has to be something that happens from within. The best thing that you can do is to stay in alignment, to connect to other people who are in alignment, and to share with people who are receptive to the message. Do not force it upon anyone. Do not try to, open up someone's third eye that doesn't want to be opened up. Focus on yourself. Focus on your journey. Focus on being the best version of you. And just that vibration, that positivity, that light that you're going to echo out is going to inspire other people to do the same. So I would love to know, have you noticed the shift? What has felt different for you? What new interests has it sparked? So let's support one another and discuss in the Mind Body Balancers Facebook group, which is my private Facebook group, free for all of you to join. Just look up Mind Body Balancers on Facebook. It's the Highest Self Podcast group. That's where we discuss things. And if you loved this episode, I would love to send you a free gift, which is the first half of my Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type ebook. This is an unreleased book, different from my book, Eat Feel Fresh. To get the first half free, all you got to do is leave a review on iTunes. Take a screenshot before you hit send and send that screenshot to me at Sahara, Sahara, at eatfeelfresh.com. And I will send you back the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type. Namaste.